My dad didn't just destroy my laptop before my final thesis. He also called me worthless, saying that I didn't deserve a future. What kind of a father would do that to his own daughter? Please stay with me as I tell you my story. Please don't forget to support our channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing with your loved ones. Your support means the world to us. Now, let's get back to our story. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and I was 26 years old the day my father hurled my computer into the side of my head. 2 days before my graduate dissertation was due. 18 months of research notes and sleepless nights all jeopardized in one violent act. Warm blood slid down my face while my mother sat in the corner letting out a sharp, unsettling laugh. "You think you've got a future?" My father sneered, his voice ragged with fury. "That's a joke. You'll always be nothing but a burden." I grew up in Millfield, Alabama, a fated southern town where the old steel mill whistles once marked time more faithfully than church bells. Our peeling 3-bedroom house sat just beyond the railroad tracks. My father, Marcus Mitchell, had worked at the mill since he was a teenager. The grind carved deep lines into his face and left his hands cracked and scarred. He wore his exhaustion like a badge of honor, convinced that real work came only from sweat and aching bones. Education to him was weakness. Books were for dreamers. He wanted laborers in his family, not scholars. My mother, Beverly, had learned long ago that disagreeing with him only earned her nights of slamming doors or days of silence so thick it smothered her. Over time, she molded herself into his echo, repeating his words to keep the peace. Sometimes she even joined in his ridicule, laughing at my love for books just to shield herself from his temper. My older brother, Kevin, was the family's crown. Jewel, he dropped out of high school at 17 to work alongside Dad. "That's my boy." Dad boasted to anyone who would listen, earning a paycheck instead of wasting time with that school nonsense. Kevin thrived under that approval, sharing Dad's disdain for education. By 21, he had a beat-up truck, a steady wage, and his own apartment. That, in my parents' eyes, was success. But me, I lived for learning. I wanted to understand how numbers whispered patterns, how words carried entire worlds inside them, how experiments could turn a kitchen into a laboratory. My teacher saw it too. In 5th grade, Mrs. Thompson, my science teacher, wrote in a report, "Sarah is extraordinary. Her mind belongs in higher academia." My parents brushed it off before the ink dried. When I won the county spelling bee, my picture landed in the Millfield Herald. My classmates' parents snapped photos as I held my certificate. Mine didn't even show up. "A waste of gas," Dad grumbled later. "Anybody can look up a word?" In 8th grade, my project testing local creek water for contaminants made it all the way to a regional science fair. The principal himself called home to share the news. Mom's reply, "Well, that's nice." Dad refused to drive me the 2 hours to Birmingham. "Science won't pay your bills," he barked. High school became my sanctuary. I joined debate team, math club, student council, anything that kept me on campus until sunset. Teachers slipped me extra books and whispered encouragement. "Don't let anyone dim your light." When I graduated valedictorian, the school begged my parents to attend the ceremony. They didn't. Dad went fishing with Kevin instead. Mom claimed a migraine. I stood at the podium delivering my speech to a gym full of strangers. Afterward, while other students hugged their cheering parents, I clutched a leather journal gifted by my English teacher. Its first page inscribed, "Sarah, your story's only beginning. Write it bravely." That night, I swore to myself I would escape Millfield. College would be my way out, but escape required stealth. I filled out scholarship applications on library computers, hid acceptance letters beneath a loose floorboard, and created a secret email account my parents would never discover, while other students celebrated with their families. I read my letters by flashlight under my blanket, fingers tracing the embossed university seals like they were maps to freedom. When I finally revealed my full scholarship to Auburn University, Dad's response was a shattered plate hurled at the wall. You think you're better than us? Books don't put food on the table. Kevin laughed in agreement. That night, I packed my thrift store suitcase. Every shirt, every notebook I stuffed inside felt like reclaiming a piece of myself my family had refused to recognize. I arrived at college on a Greyhound bus with one bag and $120 left after buying my used textbooks. My roommate's parents set up her dorm with a mini fridge, new bedding, and a laptop. She asked, "Your folks coming later?" I lied. Yeah, they had to work. It was the first of many lies I told to hide the truth. I was alone. That first semester nearly broke me. Without a laptop, I lived in the computer lab, typing assignments under the harsh glow of fluorescent lights long after others had gone back to their cozy dorm rooms. My scholarship covered tuition and housing, but not food, clothes, or supplies. To survive, I took a work-study job, wiping tables in the dining hall, and later picked up evening shifts at a diner off campus. Sleep became a rare luxury. I'd leave the library at 2 o'clock a.m., collapse for a few hours, then drag myself to morning lectures with caffeine and sheer stubbornness. My mantra was simple: hold on until graduation. Then strep throat hit in October. The clinic bill and prescription emptied what little I had saved. Desperate, I called home. "Hi, Mom," I said, hating the tremor in my voice. "I got sick. Could you loan me maybe $80 until payday?" There was silence. Then Dad's voice thundered onto the line. "Money problems already. Welcome to the real world, college girl." The phone clicked. Dead. That night, unable to pay my share of the dorm utilities. I slept in the backseat of my 14-year-old Honda for 2 weeks. I rotated between my car, the 24-hour library, and the student gym showers. No one noticed. On a campus of 30,000, invisibility came easy. By Thanksgiving, while classmates packed for home, I was scrubbing plates at the diner. The double pay and pity tips gave me enough for a tiny studio apartment in a rough part of town. The cracked windows rattled at night, but it was mine. Through it all, I kept excelling in class. Professors noticed. Dr. Alina Rodriguez, who taught my intro psychology course, called me aside after reading a paper I wrote about the effects of poverty on family relationships. "This analysis is brilliant, Sarah. Have you considered majoring in psychology?" Her question lit something in me. Psychology wasn't just theory. It was a map to understanding my own life. I dove in head first, devouring courses on trauma, attachment, resilience. For once, I wasn't just escaping my family's dysfunction. I was naming it sophomore year. My schedule was brutal. Mornings in class, afternoons buried in the library, evenings bussing tables, and late nights outlining research papers. I learned which campus buildings had the warmest heating vents in winter and the strongest AC in summer, so I could cut down my utility bills. Ramen and free pizza at student events became my diet. By junior year, things shifted. Professor David Chen picked me as his research assistant. "Your perspective on family and education isn't just academic," he told me. "It's lived. That's why it's powerful." He had no idea how right he was. Every article I read, every study I coded felt like it carried echoes of home. Dad's contempt, Mom's silence, Kevin's smugness. My pain was turning into data, into language I could use. By senior year, my passion was clear: how family environments shape a child's chance to succeed. The irony never escaped me. My biggest case study was my own family. When I walked across the stage 4 years later, I did it as summa cum laude with honors and glowing recommendations. My professors urged me toward graduate school. I applied, holding my breath, and when the acceptance letter came with a teaching stipend attached, I felt vindicated. For a brief moment, I wanted to share the news. Against my better judgment, I dialed home. "Full scholarship," I said softly. "I'll be teaching while working on my master's." Mom's pause was heavy. "So, more school then?" When will you get a real job? Dad's voice cut in from the background, still playing professor. Some of us had jobs at 16. Guess you're too good for that. The old ache returned. I hung up, reminding myself why I'd stopped seeking their approval. Some stones never give water, no matter how long you wait. Graduate school was a storm. Harder, faster, sharper than undergrad had ever been. But for the first time, I felt like I belonged. My focus narrowed to one theme: how parental attitudes toward education shape their children's futures. Every paper I wrote circled back to it. Every lecture echoed my own story. My professor said my insight was rare, unusually deep for someone my age. They didn't know it wasn't theory to me. It was blood. Still, money was tight. The stipend covered tuition and rent for a bare-bones apartment, but nothing else. When my car broke down just 3 months into the program, I faced a choice: drop out or swallow my pride. So I called home. Just for a month, I pleaded, I'll pay rent, I'll do chores, but I need a roof until I can save for another car. To my shock, Dad grumbled, but agreed. Mom sounded almost relieved. For a moment, I let myself believe maybe, just maybe, time had softened them. At first, it seemed almost tolerable. I set up a small desk in my childhood room, now cluttered with boxes. I left early for campus, came home late, and kept my head down. Mom left plates in the fridge, labeled with my name. Dad muttered but didn't explode. But peace never lasts in that house. Started small. Dad blasting the TV while I typed. Mom scolding me for not eating with them. Kevin barging in unannounced to remind me of family responsibilities. Every interruption cost me focus, but I pushed through. I had a thesis proposal to finish: educational resilience in first-generation college students. My committee loved it. My advisor, Dr. Patricia Williams, said it could change how schools understand family resistance. That approval lit a fire in me, a fire my family seemed determined to smother. Dad's disdain grew louder. Screens rotting your brain. Typing isn't work, it's make-believe. Mom chimed in with her usual excuse: he just wants what's best. Maybe you'd be happier with a simple office job. Simple. Always simple. As if survival wasn't already complicated enough. I adapted by working through the nights when the house finally fell silent. I lived on caffeine and adrenaline. The dark circles under my eyes, proof of every battle fought in silence. But even as my body weakened, my resolve hardened. I would finish this. Then came the blow I didn't see coming. 6 weeks before the deadline, Dr. Williams asked me to restructure my entire draft. The theory was strong, but my findings needed tighter connections. At the same time, my laptop corrupted key files. Days of work vanished in a blink. I rebuilt it all from scraps of notes and memory. Every second counted, but my family sensed the urgency and weaponized it. Dad interrupted me every half hour with petty demands. Mom insisted chores couldn't wait. Kevin dropped by more often, stomping through my room with smirks and small talk. The walls closed in, my mind frayed. And still I worked, fueled not by hope but by defiance. Every dig, every sneer, every obstacle they placed became another reason I couldn't quit. Then, one late night, I overheard them in the kitchen. She's 26 with no husband, no kids, just papers. Dad scoffed. Kevin had his own place at 19. She's wasting her life. Mom didn't defend me. She never did. I worry too, she murmured. All this education, for what? The words carved through me like glass. But instead of breaking, I snapped into a new kind of clarity. This is not for them. This was never for them. This is for me. The next morning, I worked 20 straight hours. My thesis was nearly whole again. My deadline just days away. But my family wasn't finished with me yet. The morning of my thesis deadline began deceptively calm. The sun spilled through thin curtains. The house still and quiet. I had been awake for more than 30 hours, eyes gritty, head buzzing with exhaustion. But I was close. So close. By 7 a.m., I had only formatting and a final proofread left. My old laptop sat on the dining table, surrounded by towers of books and neatly stacked notes. Just a few more hours and 18 months of work would be submitted. Then Dad walked in early, too early. He never rose before 8 on his days off. He leaned in the doorway, eyes narrowed. Still playing student? His voice was mockingly sharp. Normal folks are already at work right now. Good morning, Dad, I said evenly. I'll be done soon. My dissertation's due at noon. Dissertation, he snorted. Fancy word for homework. When I was your age, I was already feeding a family. I bit my tongue. Just a few more hours. Don't engage. Mom wandered in next. Hair in curlers. She scanned my carefully spread notes. All these papers on the table. We need space for breakfast. Just a few hours more, I said tightly. This is the final draft. It's everything I've worked toward. That ain't work. Dad snapped from the kitchen, carrying steel beams in July heat. That's work. Mom's hand rested on my shoulder. To anyone else, it might have looked supportive, but the pressure in her fingers was a warning. Come eat with us, baby. Family comes first. The irony nearly made me laugh. Weeks of complaining about my presence, my laptop, my focus, and suddenly, family breakfast mattered. I'll eat later, I said, refusing to move. I just need to finish this. Dad's face hardened. Your mother asked you to clear this table. That wasn't a request. His tone, low, dangerous, sent me straight back to childhood nights when slammed doors and broken dishes taught me what defiance cost. But not today. Not this time. I'll finish first, I said. That was when Kevin barged in without knocking. Dropping his keys on the counter, family breakfast, he boomed, then spotting my laptop. Still on that paper? Thought you'd be done? Dissertation, I corrected. Fingers still on the keyboard. Kevin laughed. Paper, thesis, homework, all the same. Anyway, I got that promotion at the mill, supervisor now. Full benefits, pension, the works. Dad lit up, pride pouring from him in a way I had never seen directed at me. That's my son. Real work, real rewards. The sting of it almost doubled me over. My dissertation, the culmination of years of sacrifice, reduced to homework, while Kevin's job was treated like a crown jewel. But I kept going. I had less than 2 hours, then the Wi-Fi cut out. My laptop flashed an error message. No connection available. My phone showed nothing either. Panic clawed up my throat. I walked to the living room where Dad lounged watching sports. His TV streamed perfectly fine. The internet's down in the dining room, I said, trying to keep calm. I need to submit my dissertation in the next 30 minutes. He didn't look away from the screen. Works fine for me. Please, I'm begging you. I just need 5 minutes to upload my file. His eyes slid toward me, a smile flickering at his lips. Maybe I set parental controls. Maybe the dining room's a no-computer zone now. My house, my rules. The realization hit like ice water. He'd done it on purpose. Dad, please. My voice shook. This is my future, your future. He stood abruptly, looming over me. That's a joke. Kevin has a house, a pension, a family. What do you have? It's a stack of papers nobody will read. Then I'll reset. The router myself, I moved toward it. His hand shot out, gripping my arm so hard I gasped. You don't touch a damn thing in my house without my say. Let me go, I said, yanking free. This is insane. This is respect, he snarled, and you're about to learn it. Something in me snapped. Shh. Years of silence, humiliation, and erasure broke. Open in that moment. No, I said, voice trembling but steady. I'm not ungrateful. I'm ambitious. I'm determined, and I will not let you destroy my future because you don't understand it. The words hit him like a slap. His face twisted into something monstrous. And then, without hesitation, he grabbed my laptop. Time slowed. His fingers curled around it, and for a fleeting second, I thought he'd just hide it, play some cruel game. But then, with raw fury, he raised it high. The crack of metal and plastic against my skull exploded like gunfire. Pain flared white hot, blood spilling down my temple. I staggered back, vision blurring as my laptop shattered on the floor. "You don't deserve a future," Dad spat, towering over me. And from the doorway, Mom laughed, a thin, nervous laugh that sounded almost rehearsed. Not a cry of alarm, not a mother's horror, just laughter. Blood streamed into my eye as I slid down the wall, my father's words echoing louder than the ringing in my ears. "You don't deserve a future." The room blurred. My laptop lay broken pieces on the floor. 18 months of work scattered like glass. My mother stood frozen in the doorway, still laughing like violence was a punchline. Kevin muttered from the kitchen, "Should have kept your mouth shut, sis." That was the moment I understood this wasn't just a family. It was a cage. With shaking hands, I gathered the shattered pieces of my laptop and stumbled outside. Blood-soaked. The rag pressed to my temple as I collapsed behind the wheel of my car. My phone read 11:40 a.m., 20 minutes until the deadline. Too late. My chest clenched with despair. But something deeper rose up. It's the same resilience that had carried me from Millfield to academia. I typed a frantic email to Dr. Williams, my advisor. "Emergency, injured, laptop destroyed. Heading to campus. Please advise." Her reply came in seconds. "Go to the University Health Center immediately. Don't worry about the thesis. We'll handle the rest." By the time I reached campus, my vision was spinning. The nurse who cleaned my wound said softly, "This isn't just an accident, is it?" And for the first time in my life, I told the whole truth. "My father did this. He smashed my laptop against my head. The doctor stitched me up. The campus police took photos and filed a report." Dr. Williams sat beside me the whole time, her voice steady. When mine shook, "You're not alone, Sarah. We're going to make sure this doesn't end here." That night, the IT team pulled my files from the battered hard drive. Miraculously, most of my dissertation survived. With an emergency extension granted, I finished my edits and submitted it a week later. The confirmation email: dissertation received, submission recorded. Felt like oxygen filling my lungs. 2 months later, I defended my thesis with highest honors. The scar above my eyebrow was still fresh, but I stood tall, stronger than I'd ever been. When the committee congratulated me, I knew I wasn't just defending research. I was defending my life and winning. I filed for a restraining order against my parents. They didn't even show up in court, sending only a dismissive letter calling me dramatic. The judge, after seeing the medical evidence and police photos, granted the order without hesitation. From that day on, I built my life on my own terms. I moved into campus housing, began working as a research assistant, and turned my story into purpose. My studies became outreach programs for first-generation students who felt crushed under families that didn't understand. "Their resistance isn't about you," I told them. "It's about their fears, their regrets. Your education is not betrayal, it's liberation." 1 year after the assault, I stood at a national education conference presenting my research. Hundreds of educators applauded. But the real victory was the line of students who waited afterward just to say thank you. "You told my story too?" That day, I realized something profound. The greatest rebellion against the people who tried to break me wasn't anger or revenge. It was success. It was living fully, joyfully, unapologetically, without their permission. 2 years later, when the department chair handed me a letter, my hands shook. "Congratulations, Professor Mitchell." It read, "My own course, Family Dynamics and Educational Resilience, had been approved." I hung my degree on the wall of my small apartment. The faint silver scar above my temple, catching the light in the mirror. A reminder not of defeat, but of survival. My father said I didn't deserve a future. My mother laughed as I bled. My brother cheered from the sidelines. But here I was, living proof that no one can steal the future you fight for. And as I tell you this now, I leave you with one question. And that's my journey from being told I didn't deserve a future to proving that no one can take away what you're willing to fight for. If you've ever faced resistance from the very people who should have supported you, know this. Your dreams are not too big and your worth is not defined by their disbelief. I want to hear from you. Have you ever had to push through family, friends, or others who didn't believe in your dreams? How did you keep going? Share your story in the comments. You never know who your words might inspire. If Sarah's journey touched you, please give this video a like. Subscribe to the channel for more powerful stories of resilience, revenge, and redemption. And don't forget to share this video with someone who needs the reminder. Their future is theirs to claim. Because sometimes the greatest revenge is simply succeeding.